okay, I don't love when this type of stuff happens, because Erie County, you're under the warning, but you're not really under the warning, okay? This is for Huron and Lorain. The way they draw these polygons, though, unfortunately, some counties get included that shouldn't be. So Clarksfield obviously gets you a safe spot. Then we kind of have a little bit of, not a lot of towns here, okay? A little bit more of a rural area of far western Lorain County. But then we get right into Pittsfield at about 8:10 to 8:14. LaGrange closer to 8:30, okay? So this is going to take its time getting through Lorain County. The speed on this storm is northeast. Sam, do we have a speed 30? I'm not sure if we can hear Sam.
Northeast at 20.
Northeast at 20, thank you. So a little bit slower than our earlier tornado warning that we had out towards Toledo. So this one, of course, is now moving into the metro area, into Lorain County. So yeah, tornado warning, Huron and Lorain counties until 8:30. Sam, if we could look at our correlation product, our debris tracker, because I was looking at this earlier and it did not look great from this cell. So if we could look at that, there we go, and we can get a really good viewpoint of this here. If we can zoom down into the Wakeman area, just south of Wakeman, you could take a look at what this means. Yeah, this is certainly something to watch. There's Townsend, there's Wakeman, okay there. But once you get into this area here, where it's not just that uniform maroon color, where we've got more of that noise or that orange or even a little bit of that green, that's where First Alert Doppler is saying, hey, this is not just rain, it's likely some debris, some branches, some dirt, maybe furniture, patio furniture up into the air, suspended in the air. So when we shoot the radar beam from Cleveland, Hopkins Airport, it hits something here and it comes back saying, hey, that's not a raindrop. So that's why this is so beneficial if we have a tornado on the ground, to say, hey, this is something that we normally don't see. It's not just all this rain right here. It's actually something that potentially is a little bit worse than that. And also, let's go back to our reflectivity, because I really want to show this hook. And just zoom out a little bit. Notice we've got this bug. Thank you very much. Okay, so there it is. And this is classic stuff here. There's the Clarksfield area. And look at that hook. So this is why when we were on the air earlier, about 10 to 15 minutes ago during First Alert Focus, I said, you know, this is about as textbook as you get here in northern Ohio. A lot of times it's not this clear cut on the radar, but when you see something like this, you see a defined hook echo there. We've got this air kind of feeding in around this storm, feeding into the middle of it. It is spinning. There's no doubt about it. And in and around the Clarksfield area, that's where we would see that tornado. So I cannot stress this enough. Tornado warnings, very serious. But this particular one especially, based on the data we're seeing, based on the radar signature, this is one to absolutely take seriously if you're in eastern Huron County between Wakeman and Clarksfield. Get to the lowest point of your home, get to your safe spot. This was a first alert weather day already, so we already were obviously hopefully planning for that just in case. And if you lose power, if you have your devices charged up, you can go ahead. We stream this coverage on our apps, our weather app and our news app. So crank up the audio, get to your safe spot, lowest point of your home. The first and foremost, the most important thing during a tornado warning, outside of getting to a low point, is getting away from windows, because in this particular situation, if we have a tornado on the ground or even strong winds, anything outside that's not secure could be flying through the air and can cause some damage into windows. We see that all too often. So get away from windows, and also do not go outside. The sun is setting. You can't see anything anyway. Don't go outside and try to take pictures of this thing. May get a little hail here, some heavy rain in and around the Wakeman area. Sam, I don't know if you can hear me, but boy, it's we don't get cells that look like this that often here in northern Ohio. We were even talking about it earlier today with the first tornado warning out into Ottawa and Sandusky counties, how we don't always see stuff that looks this classic as far as a potential tornado, right?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times our tornadoes here that end up being confirmed happened so quickly, or they happened in between radar scans. We don't see signatures like this very often. I will say there's this warm front draped across kind of the northwestern portion of our viewing area, and we always say in the weather office, never trust a warm front, because they can do crazy things. We've got low pressure to our northwest, cold front to the south, so we're right around what we call a triple point, and that's a great area or a favorable area in which to see severe weather. You can see that radar signature there as we look at the velocity product, and we just put some times up for you. Pittsfield, Clarksfield, we should already be in our safe spot. Lowest level of your home, putting as many walls between yourself and the outside of your house as you can. So you want to get away from windows, away from exterior walls. Maybe that's a closet, maybe it's a bathroom, maybe it's a basement. LaGrange 831. Now LaGrange right on the end of our severe weather polygon here. But if this holds together and keeps moving northeast at 20 miles per hour, this could move over the LaGrange area, potentially into Grafton as well as 842. Grafton not in the warning at this time, but we'll be watching it. We're in constant contact with the National Weather Service tonight, and of course they are going to keep this tornado warning going. This is going to be in effect until 8:30, so we've got about 40 minutes left on this. If you are between Wakeman and Clarksfield, if you're in Clarksfield, or if you live between Clarksfield and Pittsfield, please seek shelter immediately.
Good information there, Sam. Yeah, this is something, this cell started spinning probably, 15, 20 minutes ago. And you and I were watching going, oh boy, here we go. We were ready to go on the air. Now we were already on our weather show over on CW43. So we were already watching this. And I was up here doing the forecast going, hey, this is not a good thing. And then boom, it turned tornadic, or at least the warning was issued for it. But this signature's been around for a few scans. So this is, again, something, if you're in western Lorain County right now, to really take seriously. I know we've had so many tornado warnings this year, and many times tornado warnings don't produce damage. They don't produce tornadoes. They're shown on Doppler, the warnings are issued, and then, sometimes it doesn't drop down, or the ingredients just aren't there, even though the warning is issued. This particular case, I will say, I'm growing a little concerned. Certainly that point of concern has already been reached, that this is likely producing something, and here we go. Well, this is why we're on the air right now. Emergency folks there reporting 3 tornado touchdowns near the town of Clarksfield. Clarksfield is right there. So when you see something like this, State Route 61 North, are you saying near State Route 61 North?
On State Route 61.
State Route 61. Okay. Let's zoom in and find State Route 61. Most likely goes right through the Clarksfield area. There it is right there, right? 61. So here's your spin right now, crossing over as we speak. Currently, that's 60. There's 18. So we are right in and around the Clarksfield area currently. Is it 60 or 61, Sam?
I'm going to say 60. They said 61 in chat, probably.
Yes, it's most likely 60, as that's the road that goes from Wakeman, right, all the way down to Clarksfield. So yeah, I'm sure that was just a typo in our weather service information. So here we go. We've got a confirmed touchdown here, courtesy of emergency folks there in and around the Clarksfield area. Confirmed tornado. So here it is. We know it's here. It doesn't get any more serious than this in northern Ohio, okay? So if you're right along the county line of Huron County and Lorain County, it's time to get to your safe spot, okay? If you live within a few miles of Wakeman or Clarksfield, to the east into Lorain County or into far eastern Huron County here, time to get to your safe spot. We've got a signature here that is very consistent with a tornado on the ground. You add to that, confirmed via emergency management folks, of a tornado on the ground. 3 different touchdowns. That can happen. That can happen with a tornado. It can come down, it can go back up, and go back down, come back up. A lot of times when we go out and see damage after tornadoes, you look at some homes that get hit. One has its roof torn off. The other one looks like nothing happened. Okay, that can happen with a tornado on the ground. So there's the latest tornado warning, Huron and Lorain counties. That goes until 8:30 this evening. So we're zooming in on some roads here. Sam, what are some of these roads that we're seeing right now? Go ahead and shout them out.
Like Auster Road or Oster Road, potentially. Chenango Road. We'll zoom over here off to the east as we get some new radar data there. Butler Road. This is over in Huron County. Right near the county line, you can see our confirmed tornado is about to cross over that county line into Lorain County. Maybe that's a little bit easier for you to see there. Here's 303 south of Kipton. This is another area where we need to seek shelter immediately. We've got, looks like Gore Orphanage Road, Baird Road, just to give you some landmarks if you're in the area.
Yeah, good information there. I also want to point out, yes, Erie is included on this warning. And I know folks in Erie County, their phones went off, whatever. They get their information from our app or on any other emergency app. Really, there is no real apparent danger right now for Erie County. So I want to let you know that. In fact, the Weather Service will likely in the next 5 minutes, I would say 5 to 10 minutes, they'll update this warning and they'll trim the polygon back. So we're not alerting Erie County for something that's not in the county. This is a Huron and Lorain County event, okay? I do want to give a heads up to Kipton and especially Pittsfield. If you live between Kipton and Pittsfield here, this is Lorain County, okay? If you live in western Lorain County between Kipton and Pittsfield, now's the time to get to your safe spot. This is rotation now. It's pretty wide. It's not super duper tight, but it is very strong rotation. And it's been strong for about roughly a half an hour, really, since about 7:15. We saw this thing. I went into the newsroom and let everyone know, hey, we're probably going to have to go on the air tonight. So this is the reason why. Now, the good news is current time is coming up on 8 p.m. By about 5 or 10 after 8, okay, in the next 10 to 15 minutes, the risk for Huron County will be diminished. And then we're talking about a Lorain County tornado warning. But still, we're talking eastern Huron, western Lorain until 8:30 at least here, because this cell does not look good. Let's go back to our debris tracker, Sam, see if we can't see anything that really sticks out. This is a very important and useful tool when we track possible tornadoes. And here we go. This is classic stuff right here. So there's Kipton. There's Wakeman right there. You can see we've got a little bit of noise there, but then also certainly south of the Kipton area, this is where we could be seeing a little bit of debris on the ground. There's a lot of noise here with data. Don't worry about what's happening out in the Pittsfield area yet, but you can see right here, that's where First Alert Doppler is saying, hey, this is not just rain, it's likely something else. And what it typically is, it's dirt, it's trees, it's tree limbs, it's tree branches, it's anything that can be picked up and tossed shows up on our debris track. Let's zoom out a little bit more and see how this really looks. Yeah, there's Clarksfield all the way up here. We've got a lot of stuff going on. Not so much up here, though this could be a little bit of rain and maybe some hail up in the Wakeman area, but this is really from Clarksfield as you move almost out towards the Oberlin area, south and west of Oberlin. This is what we look at here on our First Alert Doppler debris tracker, or our correlation product. But there's the polygon for the warning, and if we go back to our reflectivity, we can take a look at how that really is a classic hook, though it's still showing that for sure, Sam, but it has lost a little bit of that classic hook there. There's Wakeman, a lot of heavy rain, even some hail there between Wakeman and Florence, off now nudging its way into far western sections of Lorain County here as it moves out of Huron County. So right there, south of Wakeman, remember what the emergency people said, 3 touchdowns along 61. 61 is right there. So if you live along that county line, if you're within 5 miles east or west, now's the time to get to your safe spot. As we always say, lowest point of your home, and get away from the windows. If you don't have a basement, you know, it's possible out there. If you don't have a basement, interior room, closet, bathroom, and just stay hunkered down until the danger passes. Turn up the audio so you can hear Sam and I walk you through this storm. Mobile home, get out of it. Best idea for that, and get somewhere low, get to a reinforced building. If you're out here, you're waiting on the storm to come, you're in a mobile home, get out of the mobile home, get to a place that you go during severe weather, whether it's a public building, whether it's a friend's house. Get there now before this storm gets here, because mobile homes are not a safe place to be at all. Sam, looks like the rotation is crossing now into western Lorain, right?
Yeah, this is now going to become a Lorain County storm over the next several minutes. If you're in the area of Kipton Community Park, there's a Green Circle Growers in that area, Dostal Farms, Pit Stop Mini Mart, Camden Henrietta Memorial Park, Church Street, Kipton Community Church, West Street. These are some areas where I would encourage you to seek shelter immediately, because this storm is knocking on your back door, and we've been told told by emergency management that this is now confirmed. The storm is producing a tornado. It may be lifting, coming back down, but you know, that's kind of what we saw in early August when we had all that severe weather. Things were coming down to the ground, lifting back up, and then coming back down again. So please take this seriously. If you are in Kipton, if you are in Pittsfield, seek shelter immediately. Lowest level of your home, most interior space, away from windows. It looks like they are going to continue this warning here for the foreseeable future. That first report came in, confirmed tornado from a motorist who saw it on State Route 60. And it looks like this is still moving right towards, there's 511 and 20. There's Kipton. And this confirmed tornado rotation on the radar as well, moving right towards the south side of Kipton and eventually, potentially, Jason, up towards the southern end of Oberlin, northern end of Pittsfield.
Yeah, we don't love to see that, especially when we talk about Oberlin, very populated area, you know, university there as well, not good. So there's a look at where our spin is now. It's heading into Lorain County. The Weather Service is going to update this. This polygon you'll see as I'm on the air, it's going to change. It's going to basically do one of these. It's going to cut off Erie County. It's going to cut off most likely Huron County, and it will only include Lorain County. It'll likely be extended towards the North Ridgeville, Grafton area, most likely through the 8 o'clock hour, potentially here even into 8:45. Confirmed tornado here earlier, at least confirmed earlier, on the ground via a motorist in southern, I should say eastern sections of Huron County. So there's your rotation. Here are your times. Carlisle, 8:30. So we're going way off now. Pittsfield is pretty much in that. Sam, could you move it down just to include the Pittsfield area? Because I want to make sure we at least talk about Pittsfield. There we go. This gives us a good idea. So about 15 minutes away from Pittsfield here. Okay. Current time is 2 after 8, 8:18 into Pittsfield. LaGrange, 8:34. So you've got time in LaGrange to get to your safe spot and get away from windows. Grafton, then Eaton later, okay? We'll worry about these later because a lot could happen between now and then. But if you're in Grafton or Eaton, keep us on the air because we'll let you know what's going on with the storm, okay? Because it may weaken. It likely won't turn, but it may weaken. A lot of times when you have something like this, the sun goes down and all of a sudden, sometimes these storms really lose their intensity pretty fast this time of the year when the sun sets. We're hoping, fingers crossed, that that's going to happen with this. We don't want it to make it to Oberlin or Pittsfield. We'd like it to almost just begin to kind of weaken as it gets closer enters Lorain County. But it hasn't done that yet. Let's go back to our radar, Sam, if we could. And I really want to just show, again, this was and we can maybe even take it back a few scans because this was one of those classic hook echoes. We got to kind of just move it up just a little bit there. Thank you. And notice, hey, you know what's happening here? We may be getting a little disruption from this stuff off to the west, right? Okay, let's take a look here. Here's a look at this storm as it moved in, seeing a little bit of it right there, and then there it is right there. What time is that? 7:23. That's when we really started watching it, and then watch it. Now that is as classic as it gets right there at about 7:30, and then the warning was issued at about 7:35, 7:40, and now it's starting to have a little disruption here, Sam, from the other cells in Erie and Huron County. That's good news. We're starting to see a little disruption because we always say with these supercell thunderstorms or these cells that are by themselves uninterrupted, they tend to spin. No other storms are bothering them. When it starts to get a little noisy like this, it might cut off some of its rotation, cut off some of its energy, steal it a little bit away. So that's good when we see all this other rain around it, right?
Yeah, we want this thing to stop because if we've now gotten 3 reports of a tornado, whether that was 3 different people seeing the same tornado or 3 separate touchdowns, this is something to take extremely seriously. We've had a lot of radar indicated tornado reports throughout the afternoon, things that were, not maybe making it down to the ground, but it looked like on the radar there might be a tornado. This is now a confirmed tornado, so please take this seriously. As the longer this goes on, again, we do expect this to weaken as it starts to get towards the end of the polygon. So once it starts to get closer to like between Elyria and LaGrange, we should see some weakening with this, Jason.
We hope so.
But for now, I mean, they're going to continue this
Sure.
warning and that hail threat as well for quarter-size hail.
Yeah, well, we'll see, because it certainly doesn't look as good as it did half an hour ago, and that's good. And the reason it doesn't is because it's getting interrupted by all this stuff back to the north and west. All these other storms that are close to it are now impeding its development. And take a look at this. Sam, that rotation has gotten better for us too. So I'm more optimistic that, you know, LaGrange and Carlisle may be okay. Okay, this thing may dissipate before it gets there. Oberlin, though, Pittsfield, too close to call right now at this point. And just because we may lose that tight rotation on 2 or 3 radar scans, it doesn't mean the next scan shows it coming back. Because we know that this storm, as Sam mentioned, has produced a tornado from Clarksfield to Wakeman. Did it cause any damage? Well, we'll find out. We don't know that part yet. I'm sorry, say that again? Okay. Producer is talking to me saying so far they've made some calls. We've made some calls to Huron County. No damage as of yet, but it might take some time to get that threat there. Sirens are going off in Sandusky. Well, I'll tell you why. Probably they're going off in Sandusky. No tornado threat there is because Sandusky's in Erie County, and they may be hooked up to say, hey, anytime we get a tornado warning in the county, the sirens go off. That's why I would hope soon that the Weather Service will take Erie County out of this polygon so we can just focus on Lorain County. What probably is happening here, Sam, is they're waiting to make sure it clears Huron, right? And then give it a couple more minutes, and then once it's out of Huron, they'll update it for just Lorain County. In fact, I can say right now this is now a Lorain County situation here. Huron County, your danger is passing as we speak. Erie County, you've never really had that tornado danger. It's just the nature of the polygon and how they draw this. Now, back in the old days, there weren't polygons. There were basically just counties. So this was even tougher. Now they've gotten more specific with counties, with the polygons, different areas of the counties to be more specific, but it's not perfect because if you're in Erie County, you're under a tornado warning, but really you're not. It's just that southeastern portion of the county that really isn't in any danger at this point. Yeah, heavy rain, maybe some hail, some thunder certainly, but that threat of rotation, that twisting or a tornado is not really an issue for you. This is now turning into a Lorain County storm. Sam, they have not updated this warning yet, right? And we're waiting for them to do that because we'll get a new time of expiration, which will likely be 8:30 or maybe 8:45, probably 8:45, and go from there. They'd rather issue these things out to last a little bit longer, and then if the danger passes, they'll either cancel them or allow them to expire. So let's give you the latest timing here. Now, Oberlin 8:22. So there's Oberlin right there. Our rotation is right here. So this is passing probably just south of Oberlin there. Oberlin's now out of it. Just kind of move it back a little bit, Sam, so we can get Oberlin on there. I know it's very, very finicky here. Just get it close. There we are. 8:23. So in 15 minutes, Oberlin. Now we're talking about Oberlin south of downtown Oberlin, okay? But if you're in Oberlin, certainly you want to heed that warning. Control room also, I know we have an Oberlin camera. If at any point we can throw that up, it might be helpful. That's why we have such a great network. Now there it is right now. Now we've had a lot of lightning on this camera earlier. There we go right there. Now obviously really hard to see anything. That's why I say don't go outside and try to take a picture of this thing. But that's the Oberlin camera looking west. Now if I went in there, we could maybe slide it a little south, but you're going to see a lot of lightning most likely on this camera. And I doubt we'll see anything in the sky when the lightning does come, but we're watching it. That's why you don't want to go outside. You can't see anything anyway. So if you're in Oberlin, you are under a tornado warning. There's some more lightning. And it's time to get to your safe spot right now. If you're in Oberlin College, get to the safe spot as well. There is a tornado, confirmed tornado, at least the radar signature of it, confirmed tornado. That system is heading towards you as we speak. There's Oberlin, there's Pittsfield. There's the rotation. It's still there. Not as impressive as, say, it was maybe 20 to 30 minutes ago. Oberlin here in the next 12 minutes. Carlisle, 8:38. Grafton, 8:46. We're hoping this is not needed, okay?
We can take Huron County out of...
What's that? Have they taken it out, Sam?
Yeah, I was just letting the control room know we can remove it from the lower third.
Yeah, just Lorain, as you and I have been talking about now for about 10 minutes. What's the expiration on that?
So this continuation of the tornado warning is, looks
8:30?
like it's still continuing until 8:30. Okay. Let's see.
So they just trimmed it down, which thank you for the Weather Service for doing that, because a lot of people in Erie were wondering why they're under a warning. So we've just now, they waited for it to clear Huron. Now we're talking about just a Lorain County tornado warning. And unfortunately, it's kind of sticking together. And the fact that it has produced a confirmed tornado leads me to believe that this isn't going to be dropped anytime soon. In fact, it may even be extended into Cuyahoga County. Just a heads up for folks in western Cuyahoga County too, this storm is heading your way. So we're tracking Lorain County. We're going to start to see more cities here because it's heading into more of a populated area. Oberlin here in the next 5 to 10 minutes. As I mentioned, if you're in Oberlin, get to your safe spot. New movement northeast at 30, slightly quicker than what we were timing it at earlier. North Ridgeville, okay, now we're getting into some big time suburbs here. North Ridgeville 842. So you've got a good amount of time here for this rotation to move across much of Lorain County. North Ridgeville 842, Strongsville, okay, now this is 9 o'clock stuff. Strongsville, Lakewood, we'll see. I think Lakewood may be a little far north for this, but it's in our cone because the cone gets a little wider as we get farther into time. So it does get a little bit bigger to include more cities, but I'm really more concerned about potentially, eventually, western Cuyahoga, probably airport south down to perhaps Strongsville. Okay, that would be my estimation right now. So currently the storm is in, at least the rotation is in western Lorain. Sam, if we could throw up real quick our reflectivity, our radar, because I want to see how much these storms behind it are choking this thing off. Darn it, we still have that hook there though. That's not good. Now there is some interruption here from all this rain moving out to the west, and as long as this rain kind of hangs out here, it's going to help cut this thing off or choke it off a little bit more. But we still do have that, certainly that hook there. That's where our rotation is. Does not look good on radar. That's why we were on the air. Elyria to LaGrange, that's kind of our spot right now. If you live near or live south of Elyria and you live north of LaGrange here, right there, that's where we're watching. And this, well, you know, it is moving east, but there is really a northern component to this thing when you put it into motion, right?
Yeah, moving like east-northeast, so that's why we're kind of pushing that polygon a little bit more to the northeast than to the east. It's also picked up a little bit of speed. What I find interesting here, Jason, is that it's 8:13, right? So the sun set like 45 minutes ago, and the storm is still going. And earlier in the day, these areas were really worked over. We had all that morning rain and thunderstorm activity, but a little bit of sun that meteorologist Erica Page was tracking in the storm tracker at 3 and 4, and then things get unstable again. And so the storm moved into an unstable environment right at the end of the day, and I can't believe it's still going.
Yeah, we talked about that. You know, the sun setting, normally these things will lose their power and lose their energy. It will. There's no question. We just wanted to do it sooner rather than later. So they haven't extended this polygon yet. It's still the original tornado warning. There's no question folks at the Weather Service are looking at a couple of things right now. One, all this action off to the west. How will this interact with that area of spin in western Lorain County? Secondly, as Sam mentioned, we're 8:15 right now. These storms, according to all of our in-house computer data and our short-term high-resolution models that we use, all show these storms dying down as the sun sets. So they're thinking about all that stuff before they reissue this thing till 9 o'clock and get everybody in Cuyahoga County, you know, ready to go. They don't want to do that if they don't have to. Again, so right now, Lorain until 8:30. There it is, that little notch. Let's zoom in real good on the radar here, Sam, and let's see if we can't get to see what's happening here, where that spin really is, even on the reflectivity. So there it is. There's Kipton. The tornado would be right here, just north of Kipton. So there it is, 511, I believe that is, just north of Kipton here, moving off to the north and east. So unfortunately, Oberlin here, just to the west of Oberlin, batten down the hatches. This is moving east, but boy, Sam, as you mentioned, it's really north-northeast almost, at least where the spin is. So earlier we were saying, hey, Oberlin south, it might just be Oberlin and maybe even Oberlin north as this thing kind of continues. It almost is jogging a little bit farther north versus taking that due easterly track. So if you're in Oberlin, definitely get to your safe spot. There's no other way to put it. Get down to the lowest point of your home. If you're in a mobile home park, get out of that. Get somewhere safe if you can. Hopefully you had some time, because we've been on, this was issued now half an hour or 40 minutes ago, and we were talking about Oberlin. So that's always the goal. Tornado warnings have come a long way. The goal is to always give folks the earliest heads up. And if you were watching our First Alert Focus show over on CW43, we really were the only ones on in Cleveland, because we were in our show and we were talking about this particular cell. So that's why we were on the air then, and now why we're on the air now for this cell out of now western Lorain County for that spin. And there you see that little notch right there, north of Kipton. Now remember, in case you're just joining us right now, this storm has a history of producing tornadoes, at least a tornado. 3 different touchdowns confirmed by spotters out there in eastern Huron County between Wakeman and Clarksfield along Route 61. That was confirmed by a spotter out there, and it was called into emergency services, and they confirmed that 3 different touchdowns of a tornado in that area. Now, did it cause any damage? We haven't heard. Okay, it's because there's not wall-to-wall structures out there. There's a lot of open fields and rural areas too. So it could touch down in a field. Nobody really knows about it unless you see it. So hopefully that trend will continue where it doesn't interrupt any structures. But this isn't great. When you see Oberlin, big town there, college there, a lot of folks, not good when you've got rotation now moving west. So this is interesting. We are really trending farther north here, Sam. Oberlin College, seek shelter immediately. And I'm sure the college has a plan for tornadoes. And this is about as serious as it gets. We get a lot of tornado warnings here. Sometimes they confirm tornadoes, sometimes they don't. In this case, we've got a couple of things that lead us to believe this is a serious situation. First and foremost is what we're seeing on First Alert Doppler. Okay, that's why we came on the air. That's why the warning was issued. Then when you get ground confirmation from folks out in Huron County, then you're like, okay, now we're at that next level of something that is serious. So there it is, Oberlin College. Yes, seek shelter immediately. Anybody in and around the Oberlin area. Let's take a live look right now. We have our Oberlin First Alert weather camera out there currently. Ooh. And yeah, there it is. And rare is it. We have a really unique First Alert camera network. We talked about where to put these cameras. And one of the considerations was, where do we put these cameras to capture incoming severe weather? And Oberlin is a place we wanted to have something because of Lorain County, southern Lorain County, an area that there's not a ton out there, but Oberlin is there. And just to give us a good vantage point of a lot of lightning right now, of storms coming in from the west. So it's certainly a threatening sky. Doesn't mean we're going to see anything on the camera, but I know folks in the control room are watching it, and if we do see anything, we will pass it along. There's a lot of lightning out there, a lot of heavy rain as well.
10 minutes.
So that's a look live right now in Oberlin. Oberlin is under that tornado warning, and when I say it's under the tornado warning, the warning is basically on your doorstep. Okay, so here's a look right now. Now we're going a little bit farther north here. There's a look at 90, the turnpike there, moving through Lorain County. And then there's a look at the polygon. They may have to, I'll tell you, Sam, they may have to extend this polygon a little bit based on the movement of this storm. This storm is no longer moving northeast. It's really north-northeast, as you mentioned, more of a northerly component than it originally was, right? Yeah,
going up through the northern side of Oberlin. That's why we keep talking about Oberlin, because this thing is initially was moving more east-northeast. Now it's moving up towards New Russia Township Park and Nature Preserve, Oberlin Senior High School. Just to give you some landmarks here, equine differences, Oberlin Lakeside. These are just a couple of landmarks. It's like it wants to move, Jason, towards the northern part of that polygon, so almost trying to move up towards Elyria.
It's really interesting because a lot of times we get these cells that produce severe weather, and where do they go? They dive south, right?
Right.
This one's actually doing the opposite. So there's a lot going on. You mentioned there's a warm front around here and a stationary boundary almost. Sometimes that can be a player in this storm motion. But as I said earlier, there's a lot of other action around here, which is actually good news because it will steal some of the energy. as this storm continues its march through Lorain County. So just to recap, we've got 10 more minutes on this tornado warning. Chief Meteorologist Jason Nicholas here along with meteorologist Sam Roberts in the weather office, and we are tracking this tornado warning that was issued shortly after 7:30, what, about 7:40 or so. We were during our First Alert Focus weather show over on CW43 when this warning was issued at roughly 7:40. So it's been about 40 minutes on this. It's now moved out of Huron County. It's into Lorain County. There's Oberlin, and now we are talking about north of Oberlin. So let's put a new let's go back to our velocity product, Sam, find out where this couplet is, and let's get a new track on this for folks in Lorain County, because we're talking about a lot more communities now than where we were talking about earlier as it marches through the county. So there's a look at some of that red. Red indicates winds that are blowing away from the radar. Greens indicate winds blowing towards the radar. So there's our spin right there, bearing down on Oberlin. Saying Oberlin a lot, and there's a reason for it. So let's go ahead and track. Yeah, there's a live look right now. Do we see anything there? That's just a little bit of a reflection. Yeah, boy, that's pretty good visibility there. Not seeing too much, although, yeah, I really can't tell unless I watch this for a while to see if we do have any type of rotation within the clouds. Not seeing too much at this point. But again, that's got to be pointed at the right direction too for us to see what's going on. So there's First Alert Doppler. Let's go ahead, Sam, and throw a track on this right near the Oberlin area, north and east at, what did you say, 30?
30 is.
Yeah, and based on the way this storm is moving, it's almost a little bit more like that, but we'll keep it like that. We'll keep it with the polygon for now, but I would say, boy, concerned about Elyria too when you look at this map. So let's go ahead and track it. There we are. We're going to get new towns pop up right here. Elyria 839. So Elyria, hate to say it, get to your safe spot right now, away from windows, as many walls between you and the storm as possible. I know Elyria is a big town, but this is going to be over pretty fast. It's moving 30 miles per hour. Better safe than sorry, okay? And you want to get away from windows and get to that lowest point of your home. If you don't have a basement, interior wall, interior room, closet, a bathroom, somewhere interior of your home. And that's why we have a First Alert Weather Day out today. And that's why we also on our website have a First Alert Weather Safety Guide, just some things to think about, to have a plan for when days like today happen. And you say, hey, it's an alert day, here's what we got to do. Here's our plan A, plan B, and you're set. So when that warning goes off, you're ready to go. One of the things always to do if you know you're going to get severe weather, if at least we think it's going to happen, is charge up those devices, because right now we're streaming on both of our apps. So that's really, really helpful if you do lose power. Elyria here in the next 15 minutes. We'll throw Lorain in there as well. The Lorain's a little far north. I'll take that back. Let's not throw Lorain into this. This is just Elyria. North Ridgeville, 848. Okay, western Cuyahoga County here into Westlake, we'll see at 9 p.m. I would think and hope that this thing weakens before it gets into western Cuyahoga County. We don't want another one of those. Okay, Brook Park, a little after 9 o'clock. Parma, we don't want it there. 9:17. There's time, Parma, where this is going to most likely weaken. I just want to let you know. And the good news is we haven't had this tornado warning extended, though, Sam, I am not holding out hope that that's going to continue, just due to the fact that we've still got this rotation. This storm dropped a tornado. I can't imagine they're going to allow this to expire at 8:30, but we'll see.
I know, and it's been dark now for an hour, so it's like obviously something is out there triggering that rotation, whether it's the warm front or something going on, and it won't get too complicated, but way high above our heads, there's something going on up there causing this to continue to rotate after sunset. Ideally, that stuff to the south around Wellington and up through the southern end of Oberlin would allow this to weaken. But like you said, we'll see. I mean, it's still pretty impressive on the radar for this part of the country at this time of the day. So don't let your guard down yet in Elyria in case they do end up extending this polygon. But if you are in, and I'm also looking at radar data on my phone, so I keep looking down at the desk. If you're south of South Amherst, or if you're just west of Elyria or just northwest of Elyria, I would continue to treat this as an active tornado warning. Seek shelter, lowest level of your home, most interior room you can get to.
Want to be clear also for folks in Lorain County. If you live along the lake shore, no worries. You're fine, unless this thing continues to move a little bit farther north. But at this point, lake shore, you're okay. That includes Avon, Avon Lake, Lorain. As you move farther north, Sheffield, all you guys are fine. Amherst and north. But there's Oberlin right there. Rotation's just north of downtown Oberlin, Sam, as it moves off to the north into the east here at about 30 miles per hour. There is where we likely have that tornado potentially on the ground here, okay? Because we've had confirmation that this storm did produce a tornado touchdown in Huron County, in and around the Clarksfield area. So that's why the tornado warning has continued here. It was issued, and then we had the confirmed touchdown. We were on the air earlier just saying, "Boy, this is as nasty as it gets," and like that, the tornado warning was issued during our weather show over on CW43. So there's Oberlin, there's Amherst. Amherst, as Sam mentioned, South Amherst, right? Take shelter. Amherst itself and north, you're better off. Okay, now what's going to happen is we're going to start getting close to the Cleveland radar. We might start to see things look a little funky. That reflectivity, Sam, we've largely lost, at least if you can remove the track there, we've largely lost our big time hook.
Yeah, you have to look at velocity right now, which is the wind product we keep referring to, the reds and the greens, in order to find the rotation. You wouldn't just look at this and say...
You would have an hour ago, though.
Oh, yeah, an hour ago it looked pretty scary.
Yeah, an hour ago it was really nasty. It had that classic hook that you see in meteorology textbooks. Let's go to our back to our debris tracker. We haven't used that in a while. I just want to see... Well, I don't mind this news, right? I mean, perhaps a little noise right there north of Oberlin, but we don't have that classic debris tracker. Now, again, as I mentioned, as we get closer to Hopkins Airport, we're going to start to lose a little bit. We may switch our radars. We'll see. It gets tough because we would use ones that are a little bit farther away. Sam, we've got that other radar out here in Lorain County. I don't know if you can switch it to that. Maybe we get a little bit of a better view here. But you can see right there in and around the Oberlin area, we've got a little bit of that. Okay, is that the other one?
I am trying to get you that
Must be.
terminal Doppler.
Terminal, thank you.
Oh, I just lost data.
I think there it is right there, by the way. So we've got a little bit right there potentially just north of Oberlin and over towards the Elyria area. What this is showing us is rainfall potentially, but what's not rainfall. That's our debris tracker. And this is using a different radar because as we get closer to Cleveland radar at the airport, we start to lose a little bit of that data. We're too close to the radar. So this is what we're watching right there. And that would coincide with also, Sam, where we're seeing that spin. Now, there we go right there. Now, this warning is set to expire at 8:30. When the warning expires, we will go off the air. However, we may see each other again this evening. I have a feeling. Because if this thing doesn't weaken fast enough, they may reissue it. So we still have a tornado warning in effect. Weather Service saying anything, Sam, about reissuing this or extending it? They've been pretty quiet tonight. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not seeing any new information from them. I'm just trying to look at exactly where our stationary boundary is right now.
They just reissue this?
I've got a new tornado warning now just reissued for Lorain County and for Cuyahoga County until 9:15.
Yeah, that was our fear that this would happen, and it is. And the reason this has happened, so control room, we've got now Lorain and Cuyahoga until 9:15. And again, we've talked about why this is happening, right? The big deal there was the fact that it was seen, it was spotted. 3 touchdowns in Huron County. So you treat this certainly more seriously because of that. So as we expected, this warning, and again, we are now trending a little bit farther north, Sam, on this track. So we talked about the lakeshore being okay. They've been okay, but now unfortunately, if this thing continues, it will impact the lakeshore. It will impact Avon, Avon Lake, Westlake, Rocky River, out towards, potentially towards the airport. The airport's not in the cone here, but unfortunately, this is the scenario we're under. And I do expect this to weaken a little bit between now and 9:15, but you know what? It's kept going here all evening. So we treat these very, very seriously. This is the #1 priority here at 19 News. So that's why we are on the air. That's why we've been on the air. We'll continue here as we have to at least be here through 9:15, because that's what we do when we have a tornado warning. So let's recap here what we're dealing with. A lot of rain out here. Now, this was by itself earlier at about 7:30, and it looked pretty rough. And then the tornado warning was issued, and it has still continued to spin up that possible tornado. Now, we don't want to say possible because it's already confirmed a tornado, but there's a possible tornado on the ground right now, and radar indicates a tornado on the ground right now. There's all the rain from Lorain to Elyria. Boy, Elyria right now, absolutely, Sam's been saying it, I've been saying it, get to your safe spot. Lowest point of your home, as many walls between you and the storm as possible. And as we always say, especially now at night, get away from the windows because there's nothing to see outside anyway. We'll eventually perhaps activate our Crushers cam up there in Avon, not yet though. We do have that Oberlin camera that we've been looking at from time to time. For the most part now, the danger is passing through the Oberlin area. Now we're talking about more of almost dead center Lorain County here, Sam. So the warning, tornado for Lorain and Cuyahoga counties. One of those days. That's why we issue alert days. Okay, let's take a look here at our velocity product. And there's Elyria. If we could turn on the storm relative velocity, Sam, that would be good. That would probably give us a better idea, perhaps, of what's going on here, if that's what we're seeing. There's Elyria, there's Carlisle, there's Amherst. And again, where's the spin? We've got a little bit of green here, and also a lot of red. It's certainly more diffuse, Sam, than it was, but the spin is still there, and the threat is still there. So that's why they've reissued this thing until 9:15. There's Oberlin. For the most part now, the storm is passing to your north. I'm concerned about here 113. Also, eventually, the Turnpike, Interstate 90 as well, as this storm continues moving off to the north and east, moving at a good clip, 30 to 35 miles per hour. Elyria, Carlisle, can't say it enough, especially in and around the Elyria area. The worst part of this storm is heading your way. Strong winds with this storm. Even if it's not necessarily a touchdown tornado, it is bringing very strong gusty winds too. You see those bright colors, those bright reds there, indicating where we've got those very strong winds, potentially up to 60 plus miles per hour. This is crossing right over 113 as we speak. There's a look right there at the Turnpike. So this is nasty stuff here moving through Lorain County here with that warning initially until 8:30, now extended into 9:15. And the fact of the matter is it's extended itself into a very populated area when we talk about western Cuyahoga County, Sam. Yeah. We don't hear you right now. We're switching.
For a while, so.
Oh, you're getting new batteries. Well, you know what? I'm probably going to need new batteries here at some point as well. We all do. There's a look right there at our velocity product. We had a lot of lightning in here as well, so keep that in mind. And boy, oh boy, this is continuing to spin. We weren't sure once the sun went down how much longer it would spin. Now, to be clear, it's not as indicative of a tornado like we saw perhaps an hour ago. Okay, it has in fact weakened. But there's just enough there to where the Weather Service has said, you know what? Better safe than sorry. We've had a heck of a year with tornadoes, not only in Ohio, but also here locally in greater Cleveland. We want to make sure people have the warning information, and that's fine. So that's why we're here as well. Again, pretty diffuse, pretty wide spread here on the rotation, Sam. I'm not seeing that tight couplet like we had earlier. It's still there, though. Green means moving towards the airport. Red means moving away from the airport. We've seen a little bit of debris here, at least earlier this evening. Haven't seen as much lately. And I know our reflectivity probably doesn't look as impressive as it once did, right?
It doesn't at all. If we need to get Jason some new batteries, I can take over the radar analysis really quickly. So I'm looking at some other products here. And again, if there is anything that's making it to the ground now, it would be wrapped in rain. So it would be virtually impossible to see. It's also dark outside. Maybe it happens to be illuminated by lightning, but I doubt it. So if you are in northern Lorain County or western Cuyahoga County, please seek shelter immediately in Elyria, in Avon, in Westlake. Now, we did have severe storms and confirmed tornadoes up near Westlake and portions of Rocky River, earlier last month. So you might be feeling, pretty anxious with all this going on, but it's going to be okay. We got about 45 minutes or so on this warning until 9:15. If you're getting alerts or hearing sirens in Vermilion or Eaton or Parma, you are not in the polygon at this time. Again, this is for Elyria, Avon, Avon Lake, much of northwestern Cuyahoga County. We're going to get you through this together. Just kind of analyzing some data here. Again, this storm, about an hour or so ago, we did have confirmation that it may have produced a tornado off to our west. Thank you. Out farther west towards Huron County. Now we're at 8:36, and this is radar confirmed. So we don't have any ground confirmation of a tornado in Lorain County or Cuyahoga County, but it could happen at some point based on what we're seeing on the radar. You can see a lot of bright coloration here on the radar. Again, what we're looking at is not the rain or thunderstorm activity. This is wind. So, greens going towards the radar, reds going away from the radar. So we're trying to pick up on that rotation. I'm also looking at it here on another screen so we can get you as many views as possible about what's going on. Let's put a track on this. And again, I apologize. I know it looks really quite messy, but we'll put a track on it. We got to move this map out a little bit because it's moving northeast at 30. So we have to get some space on here to show you where that storm is going. Okay, so here's to the north and east at 30 miles per hour. Just want to get you some times here. Elyria, again, this is saying 8:45. Yeah, I would say thereabouts. It's 8:37 now. By 8:40, I would be in my safe spot, if at all possible. Sheffield, seek shelter immediately. Avon, 8:57 is when this is expected to move in for you, perhaps even a little bit sooner than that. Go ahead and seek shelter if you can in Bay Village, Westlake, North Olmsted, North Ridgeville. I expect most of this, Jason, this rotation we're seeing, they would go to the north side of North Ridgeville, but we're going to keep watching it for you. Again, North Ridgeville, seek shelter immediately. Avon, Sheffield, lowest level of your home, as many walls between yourself and the outside as you can.
Also, Sam, the airport's borderline here under a tornado warning
Right.
as we speak. That's not good. So I don't know what they're doing at Hopkins, but most likely taking some precautions there. It's rare, but they are just, I guess they're just outside of that polygon there, very, very close. And the way this storm is trending, it's trending moving farther north versus farther south, which is kind of different from what we normally see here in northern Ohio. There's a little stationary front I'm sorry, what's that? Oh, let's take a live look right now at Hopkins. Okay, well, there it is, and you can certainly see a little ominous cloud cover off in the distance. And that's looking most likely, that's from our Parma camera, I believe. So we're looking basically northwest. So you're not going to see too much of the storm that way, but there's a live look at Hopkins. Hopkins is right on the edge of being under that tornado warning. And we hope that, we obviously don't want a tornado to drop anywhere, but we would certainly hope it would not impact the airport tonight, because there's a lot of flights that come in after 8, 9 o'clock. We know that. So there is a look at where that rotation is between South Amherst and Elyria, okay? There it is. It's a little diffuse. It's a little spread out, okay, versus what it was doing maybe an hour ago in western portions, or I should say eastern portions of Huron County. That's when we had the confirmed touchdown 3 different times along Ohio Route 61 between Wakeman and Clarksfield. That's where we initially, well, the thing looked awful in the beginning, and then we had that confirmed touchdown. So it has trended to move a little bit farther north. I know we saw Cleveland on that ETA map, and you know, Cleveland is kind of just on the edge of this polygon. I would suspect, Sam, although you know this storm has been pretty unique, it's likely going to end up going west of the city. But I don't like tornadoes heading anywhere in northern Ohio. But when you were basically rattling off Bay Village, Rocky River, Westlake, Parma, and it's like, oh, it takes us back to what happened in August. Those areas that got hit by that tornado, those several tornadoes, we're hoping for not a repeat performance. Now, to be clear, this is a completely different weather system and a different area that is being affected as far as where the storm is coming from. Remember, in August, they were coming in off the lake, right? They were coming in off the north and west. This one, a little more traditional path from the south and west. And as you've been mentioning, safe spots certainly in Elyria. Cannot stress that enough. Elyria, safe spot, basement, away from windows, as many walls between you and the storm as possible. We always say the acronym DUCK, duck, right? Get down to the lowest point of your home, get under something sturdy is for you. C means cover, you cover your head, and then K, keep your location until the storm has passed. Remember, we're streaming on both of our apps right now, the weather app, the news app, and if you lose power, we're always over there for you. Maybe have that ready on the ready, or at least plugged in. If you live up in this area, Avon, North Ridgeville, the area where the storm is heading to, you know, power up those apps as best as you can, or those mobile devices as best you can. So when if you do lose power, you still have that lifeline of information, and we will walk you through this. Again, the tornado warning going for another half an hour or so, and I would suspect that will continue. They got real close to 8:30, and we were up here going, well, are they going to let this thing expire? I didn't think they would, and probably the smart move there, because we still have a pretty good signature here of some rotation, again, right west of Elyria, moving west of Elyria, and eventually here crossing over the very busy interstates where 90 and the Turnpike meet here. So that's not fun. There's Sheffield right there. So if you're in Sheffield as well, your time has come to take shelter. Now, let's go up to Lorain here. I think Lorain, Lorain is in the polygon, but, for the most part, I don't think Lorain will really get the brunt of this at all. It'll be just south of Lorain. So if you live south of downtown Lorain, that's a time to get to your safe spot as well as this storm continues to push off to the north and to the east. Sam, let's switch it back. Let's get an update on our other products that we use when we talk about a tornado warning. There's a look at our reflectivity. We're not going to see much. Reflectivity meaning our radar product. We're not going to see much out of this thing. There's a little bit of a tail right there. Really hard to decipher where the spin might be. It probably is right in that little notch. You see there's a notch right there. There's another one right there. It's not as classic as it was when it was all by itself in Huron County. What about our debris tracker, which is a way where we look into the storm and we see things that may not just be normal raindrops. Maybe it's dust. Oh,
Elyria, I don't like to see that. Right?
No, you saw my reaction when I saw that. Darn it. Well, here's the thing. We've been talking about Elyria for about a half an hour, 45 minutes. So the hope is folks have gotten to their safe spot there, because this is not what you want to see. Now, what are we looking at, Jason? Well, this is what we call our debris tracker. And what it does is it sends out the radar beam. It'll hit rain and it treats it like rain, okay? All this is uniform, rainfall. But once it hits something that's not rain, First Alert Doppler will say that's not rain, and it sends it back the signal as not rain, meaning possibly dirt, possibly leaves, trees, branches, patio furniture, little things that can blow around, whatever the case may be. Typically nothing bigger than that, we hope. But when you see that, it's a different color. That indicates where we've got a little debris. Now that last scan, Sam, was not good. And so Elyria, the storm is still there, but it's eventually very quickly going to move off to the east. But you saw that clump there on our debris tracker that was basically huddled right near the Elyria area. That indicates where we've got a lot of spin or a lot of debris on the ground. And there's the spin as well, moving right towards the Elyria area as well. So as we say right now, seek shelter in Elyria. Elyria, a very big town. North Ridgeville, you guys are up next, so I can't stress this enough. North Ridgeville, just into Lorain County, growing area, a lot of new homes there. Perhaps people who haven't lived there for a while, well, have a plan. And we do get severe weather here. And so take shelter, I would say right now. Don't wait. Don't wait until it's right on your doorstep. I would do it now in North Ridgeville. I would also do it up into the Sheffield area. So there's a look also at Interstate 90. There's the turnpike right there. So both of those roads, both of those highways could be impacted by this storm and potential tornado. And we say potential tornado because it has produced, this storm has produced a tornado confirmed in Huron County about an hour or so ago. It's the same storm that's now moved into central Lorain County. So there it is right there, moving through a very, certainly more populated area. Avon and North Ridgeville, Route 83, anywhere along Route 83 in eastern Lorain County. If you live near there, now's the time. You've got a few minutes to do this. So that's the good news, that this thing just didn't pop out of nowhere. We were on the air as as the tornado warning was issued, and as the tornado did indeed touch down here in Huron County, now into Lorain County. It's basically, Sam, right in the middle of Lorain County as we speak, moving off to the north and east. So Avon, North Ridgeville, and yes, perhaps Westlake and North Olmsted too. There's a reason the Weather Service continued the warning into Cuyahoga County, because this rotation, it's a stubborn one. It's not losing too much of it. It's still spinning. Very rare this time of night, this time of the year in northern Ohio to have something that could be producing a tornado for now roughly pretty much an hour and a half when you look at the timing. A little after 7:15, we started seeing that spin up. We saw the rotation on our velocity product within the storm, and now it's continuing at 8:45, Sam.
Yeah, I don't like what I'm seeing on the north side of Elyria. So, if you're in the area of Cascade Park, Scoops and More Ice Cream, East Falls, Riverwalk, I'm just trying to give some landmarks. Again, maybe you haven't lived in this area very long, or you're just not familiar with this area. This is going to be crossing right over 80 and eventually over 301. So if you're on the north side of Elyria, if you're in Elyria, if you're just northwest or west of Elyria, seek shelter immediately, because at this point, yes, earlier this storm, we had reports of a tornado with it. At this point, it's radar indicated. So I don't have any ground confirmation of a tornado occurring in Lorain County, but the radar certainly tells you a different story here as this moves up into some very populated areas. It's 8:47. A lot of folks, parents and kids, are at home at this time of the day. Hopefully kids not alone, but if you are, at home by yourself and you're not sure what to do and you live here in central Lorain County, just crank that volume up on the TV if you can and head to your safe spot immediately. Lowest level of your home in Elyria and points to the north up towards Sheffield and out towards North Ridgeville. Lowest level of your home, most interior space, maybe at your house, it's a closet if you don't have a basement, or maybe it's a bathroom or just some interior space. The idea, again, is to put as many walls between yourself and the outside of your house as you can, because we've seen in damage surveys and studies that it's those exterior spaces that see the most significant damage in a tornado situation. I really don't like that this is crossing right over the turnpike right now, Jason. Not as many people on the roads right now as there might be at 5 o'clock. But there's still going to be folks out on the roads. Is his mic on? Okay, so it looks like Jason's having something's going on with his mic, so maybe we'll get him some batteries, or you guys let me know when it's okay to throw it back to Jason. But we'll stay on this turnpike shot. Again, I just don't like what I'm seeing here with people on the roadways. If you know anybody who might be driving along this corridor south of North Ridgeville, there's 80 again, you can see it on the radar. give them a call, let them know, because we're in a situation, Jason, where A, it's dark, and B, there's so much rain with this. You wouldn't be able to see anything.
Rain wrapped, as we always say. Don't go outside. You can't see anything. And remember, we said that this was a confirmed tornado, 3 touchdowns in Huron County. And well, we haven't heard any more confirmation of this tornado touching down again. Well, there's a reason why. First and foremost, it went through a pretty rural area of Lorain County, and it's dark. So, you know, it may have touched down in a field or in woods, and no one's going to know. So we're not going to really worry that we haven't had more confirmation that it is indeed touching down. Now, we're going to get a little bit more now, and what will happen is damage reports will come in if we get any damage, and then the Weather Service will go out over the next day or so, probably tomorrow, I would imagine, due to the fact that we haven't had too much severe weather today. They will do some surveys and find out what's going on. So there's North Ridgeville right there. Sam mentioned if you're home alone, you're not used to what do I do here? Tornado warning, my goodness. Again, get away from windows first and foremost. Don't try to look at it or go outside. Get to the lowest point of your home and a basement and get to an interior section of that. Just turn up the audio. And as always, we will walk you right through it. That's why today was a first alert weather day. That's why we issue them. There's North Ridgeville, there's Avon. So once again, it's this area here in eastern Cuyahoga County that is rapidly growing with a lot of people moving to this area, perhaps who haven't lived in this area before and maybe aren't used to severe weather potentially, but Lorain County does historically get a lot of tornadoes and tornado warnings. So this is something that we have learned to almost expect here. So let's get a new track on this. Very important. Westlake 916. Okay. Well, we'll see on that. That's about 25 minutes away. If this rotation continues, yes, Westlake at 9:15, that's when the worst part of the storm will be near you. Rocky River closer to 9:30, Lakewood 9:30, west side of Cleveland 9:45. Again, the way this storm has been working, it's really nudging itself farther north and north and north. So I do think Westlake, though, if this were to stay together, and I do expect it to weaken. I've been saying that. It's weakened a little bit, but frankly, not as much as we want it to weaken. Okay, we want this thing to just get out of here. But it's continuing on this track. There's enough spin on first alert Doppler to keep the warning going and to continue to have confidence that we've got a situation, potentially some spin near the ground or just above the ground, okay? So that's why we're on the air here. There's Westlake, Avon. Look at all the rain in and around Avon Lake and Lorain. But the worst part of this storm is the bottom part of this storm. Look at all the rain, maybe even some hail there between Sheffield and Sheffield Lake where you see those bright red colors. There's the airport right here. The airport's basically right on the edge of that warning. For all intents and purposes, it's in the warning. You better be safe than sorry. North Ridgeville, the light rain is starting for you right now with the potential for that spin to get there momentarily. We talked about Elyria. Again, on the radar, you really don't see it. We saw it earlier. It was a definite hook on the radar, and then it's gotten interrupted a little bit by a couple of things. One, a clump of storms off to the west that kind of impeded this storm a little bit, and also it's getting just closer to our Cleveland radar where the data starts to look a little bit more uniform because of the proximity to the radar beam. The radar beam needs a little bit of time to get up off the ground and be able to find these raindrops, potentially lightning, hail, all those things, as well as winds within the storm. So to reset here, current time's about 7 until 9 o'clock. We are on the air here, wall to wall, since about 7:30 for a tornado warning in Cuyahoga and Lorain. It started in Huron County, and now it's moved into Lorain County. Now it's moved in, at least the warning has moved into Cuyahoga County. Guardians are playing tonight. A little bit of light rain in and around Progressive Field. We hope that this steers far west of that, and I would suspect it will, most likely west of Cleveland. I think Lakewood's about the farthest east this thing is going to go. We'll see, though. That's what I'm thinking right now with the trajectory of this storm. I think Parma, I think you guys are okay. Parma Heights, I think Strongsville, you guys are fine. But once you head up towards the Berea area, Middleburg, you're okay. But Berea over towards Olmsted Falls, perhaps even North Olmsted, that's when we're concerned about the potentially worst part of this storm. If we do have that spin in the atmosphere, getting down to the ground, I included you on those city names. This is an area that a lot of people live, a lot of people are familiar with it, and a lot of folks hopefully heading to their basements as we speak. 9:15 is the expiration on this for Lorain and Cuyahoga County. Right now, the worst part of the storm is just near the Elyria area, actually probably most likely here, Sam, nudging north of Elyria. We've just really not been given too many clues with our radar product. We really have to look inside the storm and look at the velocity. That's why we have different levels of data that we can use here with First Alert Doppler to give you an idea of what's going on with the storm. We don't just look at the radar and say, hey, there's the worst part, track it. We look inside the storm. Where's the rotation? Where's the spin? Where's the strongest winds? Where are they at? And that's what we track. Well, you know, a couple of things here, Sam. One, we're getting closer to Cleveland radar, right? Two, we have lost a little bit of that very tight couplet, or that red and green, very tightly knit close together like we saw earlier. But still, this is some rough stuff. North and west of North Ridgeville, very strong winds. And then you see the little change over there to some green. So this is where we're still getting that spin. So if you're in North Ridgeville, certainly if you live just north of North Ridgeville, get to your safe spot. Better be safe than sorry here, okay? This storm confirmed produced a tornado just about an hour and 20 minutes ago, not far away. So that thing can pop back down. We can see it go away for a scan, and then boom, it comes back. Sometimes we've had tornadoes that touch down in between radar scans, and we go back and look at the radar and go, well, we never saw it. Well, it touched down between the scan and then lifted back up. That can happen too. So that's why it's always better to be safe than sorry. Away from windows, don't go out with your phones and take pictures of it. Just stay in your safe spot, turn up the audio. And as Sam mentioned, you hate seeing tornadoes anywhere, but especially when you talk about a big east-west road like the Turnpike and Interstate 90, crossing over that. You've got folks driving through, they have no idea what's going on. Maybe they get an alert on their phone, they may or may not. If they have the First Alert weather app, they probably would, if they have their Follow Me function on. But if they don't, they're not going to know, other than they're going to see a bunch of cars stopped. So here we go with the strong winds. You see those little areas of pink right there? Off to the south and west of North Ridgeville, north and west of North Ridgeville. Those are the strongest wind gusts right there, one there, one there. Now again, we're not seeing that spin, but these are wind gusts that could approach 60 or 70 miles per hour. So keep that in mind too. Damaging straight line winds are a concern with this, and typically we'll see that right on the leading edge of this stuff. And we've got a couple of notches here, Sam. We're not necessarily seeing that classic straight edge. If we're looking up here towards north of Sheffield here, notice how it's a little bit more of just that straight line. That means it's just winds, right? But when we get these little notches in the leading edge of this storm, that means we've got spin-ups, weak spin-ups. And there may be multiple areas of spin along this main line. There may be multiple areas of spin. That's what happened when we had all those tornadoes come through in August, a year ago August, when we had all those areas that were under those tornado warnings. And also this August too, we had a significant severe weather event. That's what happened. It was the leading edge of that main line of rain. Could have a little bit of hail, Avon Lake right now, heavy rain certainly, not seeing much spin. The spin would likely be, potentially right there. But again, radar just shows a lot of heavy rain at this point and some very strong winds moving towards, eventually here, out of Lorain County into western sections of Cuyahoga County. Sam, do we have any confirmation, anything here other than what we heard about in Huron County? I know our assignment desk has been on the phone with local management folks in Huron County, in Lorain County, and as of so far, we haven't heard of anything as far as significant damage goes. That's good news.
Yeah, thankfully nothing at this time. If we do see any significant damage reports, I would expect that to be out of the Clarksfield area, but thankfully no reports at this time, which is great news. Again, it is dark. You know, this is an easy time of the day to not notice something like that. So maybe something comes in later. But as of right now, no additional damage reports. I'm not getting any new information from the Weather Service. So I think they're going to continue this at least for the next 10 minutes or so. We'll let you know if they do expire the warning. I want to say I'm hearing from a lot of people who, especially on the west side, who are saying, you know, oh no, this is going to be like the storms that came through in early August and knocked the power out for 3 to 4, maybe even 5 days, depending on where you live. This is not going to be like that. It's not like that at this time. It's a different time of the day. It's a little later in the day. So ideally, we will continue to see this rotation get more broad. We'll continue to see these storms weaken because they're not happening during the peak heating part of the day. The issue, again, is we've got this front draped across the area, and this storm has just been using that basically as its commute across our area. So that's why this thing is still going. No expiration yet, Jason, but we'll let you know.
Yeah, good point there on comparing this to what happened several weeks ago in August. No, we don't expect that again. But I do expect some localized power outages, down trees as well. But we are not expecting that huge impact, high impact event we had in August to occur again tonight. So just want to settle everyone's fears on that. That was a very historic day and evening. Doesn't mean we can't see that happen again. I'm just saying the current setup tonight does not lead me to think that that is going to happen. This is more of a localized event. And as Sam mentioned, Clarksfield, Wakeman, that area where we had the tornado confirmed, that would be the area I would suspect if we have any damage from this to be. And again, even looking at this, yeah, we've got a little bit of reds and greens, but there's nothing super duper bright here. Yeah, this is good to look at here. We kind of put it back into motion, and we'll watch that spin come out of Huron County through Lorain County. Watch it here. We're gonna go ahead and go back in time here a little bit. And we'll watch it come in from the south and west. There it is, moving closer into Elyria right there. There's the spin. There's the spin continuing just south of Avon. But notice it's not as impressive as it was. A couple of reasons. Remember, the Cleveland radar's right there too. But certainly down into Huron County, it was a lot more impressive than it currently is. But nonetheless, if you're in western Cuyahoga County, take shelter. Better be safe than sorry as this spin is coming your way. It's going to get to Westlake really close to about 9:15 on that expiration. And then I am optimistic that we're not going to be dealing with anything overly significant in the city of Cleveland or Parma. Okay, so really this is talking about airport and west, northwest especially. Avon, even Avon Lake could be under the gun here as well, especially just the southern edge of Avon Lake. Eventually, Sam, this is going to move out over the lake, and then we can sound the all clear. But until that happens, we've got to let folks know about this, just really primarily due to the history of this storm and what happened in Huron County, right? Yeah,
if you're in Avon or you're south of Avon, I'll zoom in here a little bit on the radar. Here's Avon, and there's 254. I would seek shelter there.
Detroit Road.
Immediately, yep. Yes. North Ridgeville, 83. Please seek shelter in these areas, especially the north side of North Ridgeville. And then, as Jason mentioned, I mean, this is eventually going to go out over the lake. But it's starting to, it is weakening. It does appear based on the latest radar data in the last few scans that we've seen some weakening with this. But still another 13 minutes left on that.
Yeah, how about our debris tracker? Let's see if we've got anything new on that. That sometimes is a real good it's a good clue. Now we're getting close to the radar, so we might be a little messy here, but this is a look at our reflectivity, or our velocity. Yeah, again, we're not going to get too many clues out of that here. I mean, perhaps a little bit there, right there, Sam. South of Avon, we've got some coloring there. The more of the bright greens, that could indicate some spinning near the surface, or a little bit of debris, some leaves, some trees, some twigs. But overly, we're getting so close to the Hopkins radar where we're going to start to lose a little bit of that data as it continues north and east. But right now, it appears the worst part of this storm is crossing over 83. Well, that, I buy into that, actually. This is 83 right here. There's Detroit Road. There's Interstate 90. I mean, talk about Avon Commons here. Okay, we've got a lot of shopping areas there right in Avon. Detroit and 83, and just south of Interstate 90. You want to get to your safe spot right now. I would imagine folks are out there shopping. I would hope that all the big stores there in that Avon area are taking appropriate measures as well, away from windows. A lot of times let's get to the back of the store, and that would be a good idea, as well as there is a tornado warning right now for the city of Avon, and that's where we're also seeing a little bit of a debris signature on First Alert Doppler. When you see something like this, it stands out just a little bit more than all of the other same color. The same color indicates just rain. But when you get stuff like this, a little bit more of a bullseye, that's where we could have that debris. And again, we're close to that Cleveland radar. Let's go back to our velocity product, Sam, see if we can't have more clues on what's going on as far as where the worst of the weather is at spin. And then once we find that, okay, again, right around the Avon area, there's some very strong winds there south of Avon as well, Sam. So we've got, what did I say earlier? I think we've got maybe perhaps a couple of areas. There's the one around Avon, and then there's the one south of Avon. The one south of Avon also is something worth watching. Let's go ahead and take a track on this particular, just south of the Avon area, because while Avon itself is probably experiencing some rough weather, I'd rather track where that most significant spin is. Yeah, right there, good call. Moving north and east here, moving through Lorain County. So Westlake's ETA, it's backed off a little bit. Let's take a look. We're going to recenter this and get you some good ETAs here with this storm going through a very populated, very busy area, north and east here, moving just west of Greater Cleveland. Here are some city names popping up on the screen right now. Westlake, 9:19, so a little bit later here. Rocky River, 9:30. Okay, so that's the trend here on the spin. That includes far eastern portions of Lorain County and now moving into western Cuyahoga County. We've got another 10 minutes on this warning. We'll see what happens, Sam, whether or not they continue this, because by then we're talking about the rotation being into western Cuyahoga County. It would almost seem like they may have to extend this to 9:30. We'll see what happens with what they decide to do. Yeah. But we've got enough spin out there, and it's still south of Avon. It's still got to travel through Lorain County into western Cuyahoga County, and there's still enough evidence, as far as I'm concerned, that we may still have something.
Yeah, if you're in Bay, I would seek shelter as well.
Bay Village, yeah. Smart.
Northern end of that polygon, right here in north and northwest of Westlake. I would seek shelter there. Immediately lowest level of your home, most interior space. There's a ton of rain with these storms too. I just got a report from someone in Avon that their roof is now leaking. So we hate to hear that. That's just a testament to, you know, the multi threats with this system, not just damaging wind, but also torrential rain. So there might be a little isolated, localized flooding, ponding on the roadways, other things to watch out for. If you're on the west side, particularly Westlake, Bay, and up into Avon, I would avoid travel, local travel, just until this passes through.
Yeah, if you don't have to do it, don't do it, because there could be some downed trees, there could be some power lines down, there could be some localized high water. If you can wait. Now, thankfully, it's 5 after 9. People are hunkering down, probably heading in for the night and going to bed, or at least getting ready to do that. We are not. We are on the air here for you. You see that little area right around the Avon area? I don't like, if you go back in time there is a little bit of a spin there just outside of Avon, Sam. Perhaps right there. So again, as I said earlier, we've got a couple of areas that we're watching. One there, another one there. This is really the main area south of Avon, but even north of Avon is also a little concerning, though it's in the tornado warning anyway, so you don't have to reissue anything like that. But as you mentioned, Bay Village certainly is something worth watching here as this spin basically heads towards Bay Village. 9:15 is the expiration on this. I would expect they may have to extend this a little bit because it still has to travel through east or western Cuyahoga County. We'll see, because until this thing really weakens, one of two things has to happen here for this tornado warning to be expired. One, it weakens to the point where it's no longer a threat, or two, it gets out over the lake, and then it'll really weaken fast and it'll just affect the walleye out there. So the thinking is once this thing gets through Cuyahoga County off to the lake, we'll be done with it. But until that happens, there's just a lot of history with this storm, the way it's looked, the way it's performed, the way it's interacted, what it's produced, that the warning is continuing. And to me, it makes really a lot of sense to keep that warning. We've got a real good gust of wind here coming into Bay Village, as we mentioned, and then a little spin there north of Avon. Again, I'm a little concerned about that. It's not as ominous as what's happening across the south there. Yeah, right there, the leading edge. There's your little spin right there. We've got some reds right there, greens right there. And again, this is heading basically almost parallel to Detroit Road and parallel to Interstate 90 as it slices through eastern Lorain County into Cuyahoga County. And new ETAs here, they're probably going to look somewhat similar to what we just saw. Okay, Bay's on there, that's good. Bay Village, it's not good that it's on there, but I'm saying at least we have a mark now for Bay. 9:20. Okay, 9:21, that's 13 minutes from now. Westlake is about that same time. Westlake, Bay Village, 9:15, 9:20. Now it shows Bratnall and Collinwood there.
It's going to go out over the lake.
Yeah, I would expect it to go out over the lake at this point, Sam. So we're really talking about the area south of Avon, all the way up to Bay Village, right? If we were to draw a straight line, that's the area at risk here. So Bay Village to Westlake, and even to a certain extent north of North Olmsted too. But there's the track, okay? So there it is right there, moving through portions of far eastern sections of Lorain County, then into Cuyahoga County, Bay Village to Westlake. We have a lot of weather spotters out in the Bay Village area. Always let us know what's going on, as well as Westlake. This is going to cross, at least the spin is going to cross Interstate 90 here momentarily and cross Detroit. Okay, so this is an area here. We know it. A lot of people live out this way, and there's no question that a lot of people are dealing with some rough weather. So any basically offshoot of Detroit, you're going to want to get to a safe spot right now. A lot of homes out here, all of them have basements. So get to the basement, as many walls between you and the storm as you can. Get away from windows, crank up the audio. We'll be with you through the entirety. And at this point, Sam, correct me if I'm wrong, we're 5 minutes out from this thing being allowed to expire at this point.
They've just pushed out that they're going to continue it until 9:15, so no extension yet. I just got a report from somebody who just sent me a message to let me know that the Target at Avon Commons, so super popular shopping area, there's an Old Navy over there. There's all kinds of stores over there. They have people sheltering in the back of the store. You know, these big box stores are obviously not ideal places to be in a tornado situation, but we're glad that people are at least sheltering somewhere in the store.
Yeah. It's better than being out being out and about.
100% better than being in the parking lot or on the roadways. So we love to hear people seeking shelter and staying safe as this is moving through an area where there's a ton of people. Even at this time at night, you know, you might still be out at Target.
Well, I just said, you know, that Avon Commons was under the gun as far as where the spin was heading, and I'm sure that those shops were taking precautions on getting to safe spots out there. And you're right, a lot of stores out there, grocery stores as well. So there's a lot happening out there as this moves towards you. And let's also bring up Crocker Park here as well. Now again, it's getting to that point where a lot of these stores are closing up. So that's a little bit of good news there where people perhaps aren't still there. But that's another area, and that's of course a big residential area as well. And anywhere between Crocker and basically the lake shore is just loaded with homes. Also, what it's loaded with, a lot of older trees. And those older trees in a gust of wind could easily come down. So I would suspect that we'll have some power outages from this. And I'm sure our news desk and our digital team will be working on that. At this point, no outages. Hey, that's good news. We'll take that. And hopefully that will continue. We'll see what happens when we get to a little bit more of a populated area with more trees. But at this point, no outages are reported to 19 News. That would be fantastic news if that were to continue here for the rest of your evening. So we're coming down to the expiration here on this particular tornado warning. I hope we can sign off at 9:15 and we don't see each other again until 10 o'clock on CW, and right here at 11 o'clock on 19 News, we'll have a recap of this. But what we don't want to do is get off the air and then have to hop right back on. So we're going to wait in its entirety for this to be allowed to expire. Now, if they were to do anything, what they likely would do would trim this thing down and go till about 9:45 on the warning. We'll see if they do that. They may. But normally what will happen is they'll do that before this warning expires. Now, this leading edge here, Sam, again, is something we've been talking about. It's windy, but you got these notches in here. And these notches, if one's spinning, more than one are spinning. So it's not just one. It's possibly a couple. There's one there. There's another one there. Bay Village, okay? We've been saying Bay Village. Between Bay Village and Avon Lake, right up here, okay? A lot of heavy rain and thunder. Bay's right now pretty dry, going, what's going on? Well, it's coming. Believe us, it's coming your way. So there it is. See those little notches there? Another one down that way. All represent areas to where we could see a weak spin up, a brief weak spin up. Now, there's been nothing brief, Sam, about this particular cell that we've been tracking. It started way out in Huron County, and it's moved through Huron County, through Lorain County. Lorain County is a big county, we found out tonight. And now it's moved into, eventually here, momentarily, into western Cuyahoga County. So again, if you're in the Westlake area, Bay Village, definitely get to your safe spot. It won't last long. You probably need to be there about 15, 20 minutes, and then the storm threat will have passed. Well, before we send it back to programming, Sam, here at 9:15, anything else to add? Any new info here on this?
Nothing coming in right now. Thankfully, no damage reports. I mean, we're 1 minute away from this expiration time, and we've got no new info from the Weather Service as far as whether or not they're going to extend this.
Sure.
So, you know, we'll let you know what happens within the next couple of minutes. But definitely, based on radar and how this storm has performed over the last couple of hours, I would still delay my travel if you have to go anywhere until this gets through. Even if they end up, you know, expiring this and we're done with the tornado warning, there's still a lot of heavy rain with the storm and potentially some damaging winds as well.
Yeah, just checking here a little bit more data to see if they are going to reissue this. At this point, it does not appear like they are. I think they're going to let this thing expire, and they just have let it expire. Sam, is that what you were going to say?
Yeah, polygon disappeared, so it looks like they're going to expire it. The rotation, Jason's been talking about this, is much more broad now, not quite as defined. So, yeah.
Well, here,
new tornado warning.
Well, we had a feeling that might happen, didn't we?
Yeah.
All right. Is this 9:45 would be my guess, or 10?
Yeah, this one's going to be in effect until 9:45. You called it. This is for the northern half of Lorain County, and for western Cuyahoga County, it's probably for that little notch.
Yep.
Let's see. A severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located over Avon Lake, or 8 miles northeast of Elyria. So I suspect they're focusing in on that notch right there near I-90.
Yeah, again, not surprising. We've been saying this for now a while, that, boy, I'd be surprised if they let this expire at 9:15, but if they do, we'll see. So it expired for a few moments and then got reissued. A lot of times they'll reissue those a little bit sooner, so we don't have that time where we don't have a warning out for a tornado warning. That's not what you want. So new warning here, Lorain and Cuyahoga, though the danger really in Lorain County here is going to be diminishing over the next 10 to 15 minutes. This is really going to be more of a Cuyahoga event. And remember, until the rotation gets out over the lake, the warning is going to continue. There's the airport. Good news for the airport is it's out of that polygon, okay? So we're talking Fairview Park and north. We're going to start to name some towns a little farther east. Lakewood, okay, you're close, but I do think the worst part of this storm should pass west of Lakewood. There's Avon Lake, certainly some spin there. Again, we talked about this earlier, Sam. There's a lot of areas where we've got that spin tonight. It's not just that one main area. When we started this whole thing, the whole line is potentially spinning. The whole line is interacting probably with that warm front that's causing a little bit more of a spin than we normally would see, because what we normally would see would be a nice thin line or a straight line, and that would indicate straight line winds. In this case, we've got these notches. We've got several notches, okay? Avon Lake, the worst is basically just off to your east here. Avon getting pounded right now with heavy rain. Most likely, potentially here, a little bit of pea-sized hail there in and around the Avon area. But overall, this line, and notice we're really not seeing much of an eastern progression on this either, Sam. It's really, we're going to have some high water issues out here. There's no question about that as well. So be careful if you are going to be out tonight for some localized high water issues, because this is enough to cause some localized flash flooding. In fact, I would expect some type of flood advisory for Lorain County here over the next half an hour or so, due to the high water issues that this rain is kind of training a little bit there over that same area. But each little notch could be a weak spin up as this line moves north and east. Pretty slow now. It's probably slowing just a little bit here, north and east, moving through eventually Lorain County, eastern Lorain County, into western Cuyahoga County. There's Westlake, there's the lakeshore, there's Bay Village. So again, Westlake, Bay Village, get to your safe spot. Tornado warning in effect until 9:45 for those areas there. You certainly see a lot of wind. Avon Lake, more wind as you head down to the south and also to the west. As I mentioned, Lakewood right now, you're in the polygon, but the worst weather is to your west. I think Lakewood, at least downtown Lakewood, maybe the west side's a little iffy, but at least downtown Lakewood, certainly 117th towards Cleveland, you guys should be okay here as this polygon is more moving north and east there, just off to your west, Sam.
Yeah, and this is going to remain in effect until 9:45. So, you know, with its current track and how it's trying to move more towards the open waters of Lake Erie, ideally it will stay away from that part of the city and continue to push out over the lake, but we're going to monitor it. Again, I just really think it's riding along this boundary, and that's why we
stationary boundary, right?
Yeah, there's been a little boundary just kind of draped over our area, and that's what these storms really feed off of. So it's just using it as like this little track. There's a lot of turning of the winds with height. We call that shear, way high above our heads. So that's all kind of facilitating this continued severe weather event. Even here after sunset, I'll be honest, would not have expected it to last quite this long.
No.
Our alert was until 10, but I thought we would see a little bit more weakening.
Actually timed the alert out well, didn't we?
And yeah, you were perfect on the timing with that first alert weather day that we issued yesterday. But as far as this weakening, again, I know the radar looks really noisy in this part of the viewing area. It's not the kind of well-defined rotation we were seeing earlier, but there is still a tornado threat with this storm. So if you are in Westlake, especially on the north side of Westlake or up in Bay, please seek shelter immediately. Yeah,
the storm has really evolved, right? I mean, when we were first on the air at about 7:30, we had a well-defined hook echo, something you see in textbooks. And then we also had a lot of spin in that storm where we're like, whoa, this is definitely dropping something down. And I think we can go back and think about that. That would probably have been the time when we did have some damage from this storm. Now, this is more of a straight line wind in many cases, in some areas, at least some very strong winds, but there's just enough spin, enough shear, as Sam mentioned, where we might get that weak spin up here right along this main line. Sam is right. Bay Village to Westlake, definitely take shelter. That's right along, unfortunately, Interstate 90, Detroit Road as well, and then even as we head back off to the west. Though the danger here in Lorain County is still there, but it's diminishing here as this entire line of storms continues to push off to the north and to the east. And remember, these notches are where we likely are getting some spin. Let's zoom in real tight here, Sam. We've got heavy rain right now in the Avon area. So there we are, moving out of Avon Lake, right along the lake shore. We've got these little notches here on first alert Doppler that can indicate where we may have a little bit of a spin up. I would imagine just some horrible driving right now along Interstate 90 once you get into Lorain County. My goodness, there's Route 83. Control room, do we have access to our crushers cam out in Avon? That would be good if we could work on that and eventually get a picture there. We have a wide array of first alert cameras, which can sometimes give us a good view of what's happening outside. We were earlier looking at our Oberlin cam when the worst of the weather was in the Oberlin area. I would love to see if we can call up that Crushers cam out in Avon and we can take a look at that. We're working on that, I'm sure. You can see the heavy rains here just north of Avon Lake. Tornado warning reissued due to a power flash in Avon Lake. Okay, interesting there. So Avon Lake certainly is getting hit. Well, it's a little bit more of an improving situation now in Avon Lake, but you can see off to the south and west, a lot of heavy rain here, just a deluge of rain here. So we're going to have some high water issues too. Warnings until 9:45 for Lorain and Cuyahoga counties here. Cleveland right now hasn't seen much of anything. Guardians game, no real rain issues there. Lakewood right now is pretty dry, and I think Lakewood, at least most of Lakewood, maybe the west side of Lakewood starts to get a little bit of wet weather coming through. But there's Westlake, there's Bay Village. We've been saying these towns for quite some time. Notice that this storm has just kind of slowed a little bit and stayed east. But certainly some rough weather for Bay Village. West of Bay Village, right along the county line here is where we're getting the worst of the weather. Heavy rains, can't rule out a little pea-sized hail in that as well. And again, we've got those notches there in portions of western Cuyahoga County, Sam. We have a look at Avon right now. Okay, this is a look, we're not going to see too much. This is looking off to the east. Let's see if we were looking off to the west, I could go in there and switch that camera, which I think I will do. And we're going to go ahead and flip this camera more off to the west, because once we flip it off to the west, we'll really start to get a better idea of what's going on in the Avon area. This is looking off to the east along Interstate 90. So what we want to do is give it more of a western look, and that will start to get in more into where the worst of the weather is in the Avon area. Right now we've got some, it's starting to move just a little bit as we speak. Right now we're going to move this a little bit more. Let's see if we can twist it. I'm doing it now live on the air. There's Crusher's Park there, looking off to the west. This is where we'll likely get, there's the parking lot. We'll likely get a little bit more in the way of some lightning potentially there as well. Remember, Avon Lake, both under that tornado warning as we speak. And that's why we're on the air here at a little bit after 9:20, 9:24 with this tornado warning. Not too much showing up there at Avon Lake. That's fine. Let's head back here and show you what's going on with our weather maps. And you can see we've got our velocity product on right now. Again, we don't see when you necessarily look at this and say, hey, where's our couplet, where's our red and our green close together? But we've got enough spin out there, again, just outside of Bay Village. This line right here, that's where we're likely getting this spin. And again, we're pretty close to the airport. There's a look at that storm as it moves out of Avon Lake. There's Avon, very heavy rain. Again, we're going to have some high water issues here. There's no doubt about it. Moving off from the southwest to the north and east. Now, eventually, this is all going to move out. A little bit of a leftover possible little hook there, but I'm not really reading too much into that. This is the main line moving through right now. Sam, tornado warnings in effect until 9:45 now, so another 20 minutes on this. They're just going to wait until it gets out over the lake, right?
I think so. There's another storm coming through southern Lorain County, or really now it's moving into central Lorain County.
Yep.
Moving towards LaGrange, so I don't want folks there to be alarmed and thinking they're part of this tornado warning, because I know our lower third says Lorain County. The warning is for Avon Lake.
Yep.
This stuff in LaGrange is most likely going to continue to weaken as it moves into an environment where we've already seen quite a bit of rain. So don't want you to, see Lorain County and think it's everybody. This is really localized. I mean, as Jason mentioned, they're going to wait probably for that southern end or southwestern kind of end of that rain band to get over the lake, and then they'll most likely expire this.
You know what's really interesting here? Westlake and Bay Village haven't seen rough weather because the storm has evolved to a certain extent to where it has just basically now not really pushed east. It's almost just moved north, northeast for sure. And so Westlake and Bay Village are right on the edge. We've mentioned their names because they're larger towns, they're larger cities here, right on the county border. And we're starting to finally get some rain, most likely in the Bay Village area. But Westlake largely hasn't seen much, and that's okay. Better be safe than sorry. You're right in the middle of this tornado warning, but the worst of your weather is just to the north and west of Westlake. So Westlake and south, I think we're fine. Certainly of the airport, we're okay too. So we're really getting very detailed on the area that's being hit the hardest. So a lot of rain right now from Avon over to Avon Lake. Been encountering, not necessarily a great environment because this area has had rain earlier today. So, and again, remember, we're at 9:30 here in the end of September. So it's really incredible that this thing has been going on this long, really, when you think about it, a 2-hour tornado warning with that same, at least that same initial spin up. And again, what happened here, Sam, was at about 7:30, quarter to 8, we had a confirmed touchdown 3 times with this tornado out in Huron County. And that's really what kind of set everything in motion to where we knew this would then turn into a long-term tornado warning.
Yeah, I mean, this has been going for quite some time with the same cell that now has begun to look not quite as traditional or as textbook as it did earlier. Now it just basically looks like rain. So it's more of a wait and see. I think most of the rotation has moved out over the lake. But since this storm earlier produced some very intense weather, I understand why they're continuing this for another 15 minutes.
Sure, and they may allow it to expire early, but that's okay. It's better to be safe than sorry. Make it last a little bit longer versus having to extend it like they did earlier, where we went a few moments there without a warning at all in between these warnings. But we had a pretty good idea that this would be continuing. That's exactly what has happened. So Bay Village, the worst weather is between you and Avon Lake. Hey, maybe Westlake is able to get out of this without any real issues. That would be great. I think Lakewood's threat is pretty minimal, even though Lakewood, you are in the tornado warning, basically west side of Lakewood. I don't think you're going to see really rough weather. Sam mentioned the rotation probably now is out over the lake. At least the worst part of the rotation is out over the lake. I would agree with that. We still have some notches here of some pretty rough weather between Bay Village and Avon Lake. And again, this area very highly populated. This area, Bay Village at least, was hit with those that August tornado. So again, we don't want a repeat performance of that. And I don't think we will, because at last report, no power outages. So that's really, really good news. Surprising news, but good news, as well as no significant damage. So that's okay. We'd like to keep that going if we could, and don't add to that at all. Heavy rains right now just south of Avon Lake. Avon's still getting hit with heavy rains. There's Bay Village. And again, everything now funneling north and east out over the lake. Turn on our velocity, please, if you would, Sam, and we can take a look inside this storm to see if we have any more spin or where the worst spin may be. Yeah, we got a little bit right there north of Bay Village. We also got a little bit back here. But overall, I really don't see too much more going on with this particular tornado warning. We're going to be smart about this. We're going to stay on as long as the warning is in effect. But for the most part, I think that that spin has largely moved out over the lake. Now, still a lot of heavy rains and most likely some pretty strong wind gusts here. But for the most part now, things are moving out over the lake, at least wherever you see those brighter colors, the stronger the winds. We've got still a little spin. There's green, meaning winds going towards our radar. Our radar, by the way, is right down there. So we've got still some spin there. There are winds going towards the radar. There are winds going away from it. So we still do have a little bit of that spin, but overall, that signature is really beginning to die down. I would imagine that they may allow this warning, Sam, to expire before 9:45.
Yeah, I would think so. There's some chatter in the service we use to communicate with the National Weather Service. Right now, we're just waiting on some confirmation to see if they'll allow it to expire earlier. It's supposed to go for about another 15 minutes. I mean, just looking at the radar data, you know, I do understand the caution, of course, of keeping it, especially in an area where there was a ton of high impact weather. It feels like it was yesterday that we had those tornadoes on the west side. So I understand continuing the warning, but just know if you're watching this, and this is something, you know, we would say to a family member, at this point, it looks like we're towards the end stage of this, this event, and that most of the worst weather, anything that would be tornadic, is out over the lake. But out of an abundance of caution, of course, we'll stay with you until this warning is allowed to expire.
Yeah, couldn't agree more with this current scenario as the worst of it. Really now you see that still we have that little potential spin. It's nothing like what we saw earlier now over the lake. And even there on the radar, we're also seeing, I mean, we're almost rain-free here through much of Cuyahoga County. We still do have some rain from Avon over to Avon Lake. That's likely producing some ponding on the roadways and also potentially even a little bit of thunder. But the worst of this now is over the lake. Let's zoom out a little bit, Sam. Is there any risk of what we've got dealing with here? Does it coming back into Cuyahoga County? I think for the most part this is just feeding off over the lake, and then once it goes over the lake is a lot more stable air than, say, over land. So I would expect this to weaken just a little bit as it continues to push off to the north and to the east. So I wouldn't expect this to, I mean, it may still nudge eastern Cuyahoga County, but it won't likely continue to produce severe weather at that point. At least that's my current thinking. Outside of that, that's pretty much the only game in town. We still do have that cell in Lorain County right there. You can see central Lorain County just south and west of the airport. Cleveland down to Akron. Akron, Canton is dry. And again, if you're watching from Medina, Akron, Canton, you may say, well, you know, do we really need to know all this? Well, if it was in your neighborhood, you'd want to know the information. So we treat everybody equal here. We don't have preferential treatment depending on where you are. We cover a very large area here in northern Ohio. So when we go underneath a tornado warning, we want to make sure that you know that we're going to have your back and we're going to have the information for you, even if it's it's not your county, we're going to be in the county next door potentially at some point as well. And of course, as we saw in August, sometimes the heart of the viewing area, which is Cuyahoga County, can also get slammed with very significant weather. And in this particular case, maybe we dodged a little bit of a bullet as far as massive widespread power outage and damage, because we haven't heard much of either. That's good news. We hope to continue that trend here as we head into the overnight and into the day tomorrow. And any damage reports will be properly investigated by the Weather Service and also, investigated to see if we did indeed have a tornado. And I would suspect, Sam, if we did get some damage down in that Clarksfield area, that's eastern Huron County, that would likely be the area that we did get a tornado touchdown. We did get confirmed on that. I wouldn't expect as much here, although we'll see in Cuyahoga and also into portions of Lorain County when the sun rises tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, that's where the storm looked the most textbook. It looked, for lack of a better word, the most intense, or it looked the scariest at that point. So there may be damage in that area. Again, everything it kind of happened as we got closer to sunset. So if we do hear of any reports, we'll let you know. The newsroom and the assignment desk and everybody's, calling around and checking to see. We do have some additional reports of power outages out there across the area. I just got a tweet a few minutes ago from somebody. Not
surprising. I mean, we're likely going to have some outages here.
Yeah.
These are populated areas, trees. How many do we have?
It looks like 73.
Oh, not many, under 100 at this point. That could grow. We'll see what happens with that as we continue to move on through the evening. They're still keeping this warning going for another 10 minutes here. So 9:45, this warning. I've also got a pretty interesting little cell there. I'm not sure what it's doing down there between Elyria and LaGrange. Looks like it might just be raining down there. And the worst of the weather here is just north and west of greater Cleveland here. It is weakening. We've lost a lot of lightning here, Sam, haven't we? We've lost a little bit of lightning out of this. It was producing a lot more lightning. We turned our Avon camera up and we didn't see much of anything. So that is always an indication of a weakening storm as well. And for the most part now, all this rain has moved out over the open waters of Lake Erie here. Still a tornado warning in effect until 9:45 for really, we're talking Cuyahoga and Lorain counties, though that threat is really diminishing here as we move through the next few moments, with really a lot of that action now moving out over the open waters of Lake Erie to where we're really not going to need to be on the air too much longer. I mean, we'll take it to 9:45 just because we want to do the responsible thing here. But overall, this danger really has passed for both counties here, Cuyahoga and Lorain. We're watching some rain here south of Elyria. Also, obviously, this cell here just west of downtown Cleveland. This is actually the cell that was initially spinning there in Huron County and moved its way basically through Huron County, through Lorain County, into western Cuyahoga County, and alas, the tornado warning has been canceled. Okay, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jason Nicholas. For meteorologist Samantha Roberts and everyone behind the scenes here at 19 News, stay safe tonight. I don't expect Sam to have to come on again, and hopefully everyone stayed safe, and we appreciate you watching and taking our warning seriously. We will see you over on CW43 at 10 o'clock for another recap on the storms, and of course right here also on 19 News at 11 o'clock. Have a great night.